Mama Dolce's food processing plant, a name that many Fallout 3 players will recognize as a basic American food processing business in the capital wasteland with a devious hidden purpose. But surely this one instance can't reflect all these factories. This small factory based in Morgantown, home to many proud red-blooded Americans, must be a normal factory to feed the masses. Right? Let's find out. Not long after walking through the front door, we spot a small robot, a Liberator droid making all sorts of weird beeping. What's a military robot doing in a food processing plant? And now it's trying to climb as well. Does it think it's a real spider? Oop, didn't like that. Guess it wants to hurt me. Ah, well, better put him down. Once that Spider-Man wannabe is rusting on the floor, we can take a look at this terminal, locked with a skill level 0 lock. User login, Foreman Smith. What a fake name if I've ever heard one. Opening new employee orientation, we can read the following. Greetings, new employee. We would like to welcome you as the newest family member of the greatest food processing plant in America. Follow these simple rules carefully and we are sure to become productive and prosperous members of this great American society together. Rule 1. Here at Mama Dolce's, we like to say that we are an all-American business. This means that we uphold the values and traditions of this great American society at all costs. The generous civilians of the American city of Morgantown have greeted the Mama Dolce's family with open arms, and we repay them by succeeding in our mission to produce high-quality processed food products at low prices. Rule 2. Productivity is the key to success and individual wealth. In this American capitalist society, we work long hours for no overtime pay in order to bring prosperity to our great company. Remember, success for Mama Dolce's means great personal wealth for you and your family. Rule 3. As with all other American businesses, we have a very strict hierarchical organization. You are strongly encouraged to stick to your workstations and not question the leadership decisions of your superiors. Your superiors have only your best interest in mind, so interfering with their decision-making process will only make them question your loyalty. Rule 4. Most importantly, do not attempt to inspect or repair equipment on the exterior of the facility. Only qualified repair technicians are permitted to inspect the exterior equipment in order to minimize legal liability. Violation of this rule is grounds for immediate termination. Thank you for your attention and understanding. Plant Manager John Smith. Human Resources Memo from HR Manager Mary Baker. Mama Dolce's full-time employees, please join Plant Manager John Smith and I in welcoming our most recent group of new hires to the Mama Dolce's family. They will all be joining the team at the food processing plant in Morgantown. Please give them a big Appalachian welcome when you see them around. Lincoln Jones in Manufacturing Hygiene Technician, Jack White in Senior Maintenance Technician, John Johnson as a full-time Security Officer, and Will Harris as a Processing Machine Operator on the night shift. Well, if that isn't the biggest group of stereotypical American names I've ever heard, I don't know what is. But speaking earlier from the previous reports, that's got my interest. So let's dig deeper to the back of the complex, and sure enough, hidden away, we find a secret gate. What lies within? Let's find out. As we make our way through the large metal tubing, which I can only assume smells worse than it did in Shawshank Redemption, we soon come to a door named Virginia Intelligence Base. What can be inside? After passing through multiple security tubes and other grating, we soon find an exit. Opening the hatch, we look around and we soon find two ceiling-mounted turrets pointing right at us. We better deal with them quickly before they take care of us. Looking around, we can see two doorways heading to the left to make sure there's no other hidden traps and surprises waiting for us. We run inside expecting a fight, and all we find are some tubing and a rat roach. So turning back around and heading to the doorway on the right, we go through and we find a security terminal. What lore will we find inside? To all personnel, we've been placed in an unenviable situation. As you all know, we were given no warning prior to the bombs touching down. We can only presume that this means one thing: the party leaders are all but dead, and we are now functioning independently. Some of you have suggested this means we can now abandon our posts, that the fight is over, and that we have lost. For those of you that feel this way, we pity your lack of belief in our purpose, but we will not attempt to stop you from fleeing. Instead, let us say simply this: we are far behind enemy lines. If our party leadership is truly dead, any attempt to return home would be an utterly futile exercise. If they're not, and they do reach out to us, you will be long gone, trying to cross thousands of miles of hostile territory. Your best chance of survival is to remain here, where we can work together and be prepared should the time come that we can evacuate properly. From the Director. Facility Security Procedures. Rule 1. All personnel should openly display a Facility ID badge at all times. Failure to do so will be met with deadly force. Rule 2. No unauthorized entry or exit from this facility without direct written consent from the Director. Any unscheduled access to the facility entrance will be met with deadly force. This includes base personnel without explicit permission to exit or enter the facility. Rule 3. All personnel are subject to search of their person and personal effects at all times. Possession of any unauthorized contraband will result in application of deadly force. Rule 4. If possible, detain and interrogate subjects before applying deadly force in order to obtain any relevant counterintelligence. Interrogation should last no more than 12 hours before subject termination. This is a terrifying revelation. This just shows how ruthless the Chinese communists were willing to be to keep their base secret, even at the expense of the lives of their own people. Found deeper within the complex is what can only be assumed is a torture chamber and interrogation facility, with corpses still littering the complex, where we can only imagine the torture these poor souls experience for something as simple as not having their ID badge clearly visible. It's a truly horrible sight. In the next entry, we can see for the Arsenal's resupply. Item, Type 93 Assault Rifle, Quantity 75, Status, Delayed indefinitely. Item, 5.56mm ammunition, 24 round magazines, Quantity 1200, Status, Delayed indefinitely. Item, Stealth Armor, 1, Status, Delayed indefinitely. Thankfully, to Wastelanders, we were able to get a stealth armor, but in the original release of Fallout 76, this was not originally available. Item, Officer Sword, Quantity 38, Status, Arrived 3, Excess 27, Delayed indefinitely. So we know there's at least 3 Officer Swords available to be found in this location. Heading downstairs after reading the information, knowing what goodies await inside, we can tip down and soon find more little spider bots running around. I think it's only time for some pest control, don't you? With the Liberator's dead, we can head into what can only be perceived as the barracks. On the ground we can see... oh, never mind, there's some more spider monkeys. Let's deal with them. Little bugger was hiding behind the bed. What a way to die, even if you are a little spider monkey. As you can see here, there are a whopping 12 bunks, so simultaneously you could have 12 Chinese officers, troops, and just civilians sleeping simultaneously in one location. How many troops were down here, I wonder? And some even stayed here until the very end. Leaving the dead to rest, we can head down some more stairways and... what's that sound? I know that sound. That's more spider monkeys. Let's get them! With the Liberator's dead, we can take a look around. We can see the Chinese flag still mounted on the wall, where many proud, patriotic Chinese would have stood and fought their ground for their country. At least for their beliefs, if nothing else. Can we really blame them? Looking around the room, we can see multiple terminals. What were these used for? Was it for monitoring? Or was it for another purpose? All these Liberators around, it can't be a coincidence, can it? Heading into the next room, we find a terminal named Waste Disposal System Terminal. The terminal reads Mama Dolce's food processing plant, an all-American business. Still clinging to that patriotism, I see. Food waste disposal system diagnostics. Current system capacity 18%. Disposable rate 0.04 TPM. If you know what TPM stands for, put it in the comments below. I'd really be interested, because at the moment it doesn't give me much context. Emissions analysis. CH4 0.43 tons. CO2 1.01 tons. Enter system command 4party 651. Password accepted. Operation Trinonite. Display setting English/US. This terminal is for station supervisors only. Accessing this terminal without proper clearance is a capital offense. Record 0.0.0.1. Operation report. Base established, Director. The other agents are off working on their little toys, so I can begin the real work. I'm presuming he's referencing the Liberator drones. My initial surveys show that the party's maps are off a fair bit on the actual location of the silos. I'll make sure to get you all the more accurate coordinates, and the rumors of them being massive factories appear to be unfounded thus far. If anything, these sites are far less advanced than the ones on the west coast. I'll report back as more as I gather information. Operation Report 0.0.0.12. Checking in, but with little to report. Our direct surveillance of the sites is yet to bear fruit. Visitors are infrequent to the point that we believe these sites may have been mothballed or set up as decoys. We believe a new approach may be needed and request clearance to begin making contact with members of the local community to confirm our suspicions that the silos are non-functioning. Operation Report 0.0.2.0. After finishing up our initial evaluations, it is our personal conclusion that direction of Operation Trimonite should be adjusted. A contact we established among the local populace seems to indicate that the rumors we heard were false. The whispers of Appalachian factory cities must have been referring to a nearby Watoga, which does appear rife with useful technology. It's my personal suggestion that Trinonite shift its resources over to focus on their exploration of this place for advances that might be able to serve the party's ends. But there was one item of interest that we turned up, a possible encryption method of the American launch codes. It seems they've begun a pilot program to break them up into multiple parts, with a letter paired to each number of the launch code. Spelling the English word will tell you the order of the numbers in the code, but the letters were encrypted using a technique called a keyword cipher, where the letters are transported for others in a variant alphabet. How this keyword is determined or where it's acquired, we're still unsure, but it seemed too valuable and find not to share. This is an absolutely terrifying recording. This indicates that the Chinese were actively trying to find out the American launch codes, whether this was to use the advantage of not being able to launch the nukes, or potentially even to self-detonate them from within the bunkers, causing detrimental damage to the American populace. Thankfully, they didn't succeed in this, but it sounds like they were getting close. Thank goodness they didn't manage it. But what was this little pet project that he mentioned previously? Director Summary, Liberator Production Roadmap. Over the past year, the staff of this facility have been dedicated to revamping the inferior Liberator prototype military infiltration and attack robot. The focus of this effort has been to address the following issues with the previous iteration. The small profile of the prototype model led to the combatants not taking the deadly capacity of the attack robot seriously. We have offset this shortcoming with an intimidating paint job, as well as implementing an inspirational dialogue protocol. This will strike fear into the hearts of the enemy combatants and be an effective motivation tool for our forces as well. That explains why they scream Chinese at you during combat. The prototype model had issues with spontaneous detonation of its capture avoidance systems. These issues have been resolved with the Mark 0 through V models. The prototype also had questionable combat effectiveness, mainly due to the low-level laser output that had a tendency to maim instead of kill. We have outfitted the current model range with a high-powered ranged laser as well as a spinning blade for melee altercations that should address these shortcomings. Finally, we had planned for the current model range to deploy as a stationary turret on any surface as a direct response to the reports of inaccurate laser fire from the prototype. This was proved to be challenging, however, and will be put on hold until we begin working on the Mark VI. Regardless, we strongly feel that this new Liberator product line will serve as a successful vanguard force in the impending invasion. Our hope is that this summary will provide visibility into our operations and secure funding for our next round of covert field testing to the Appalachia region. Hail the People's Republic! So it seems this base had two purposes. On the one hand, it was used as a research site to discover the locations and the purpose of the American launch silos, as well as their appropriate launch keys, for whatever purpose they wanted the keys. Hopefully, it was just to make sure the launch of the nukes didn't happen, but knowing the stress of the war, it was more likely that they intended to detonate those atomic warheads from within their own silos. They also used this as a construction site and research site for the Liberator drones, which unfortunately still plague Appalachia today, and I'm sure we've all killed many of them. Unfortunately, as we dig deeper, it seems to get even worse than that. Underneath the two exhaust towers, we find a development and research terminal with the following information. Director Summary, Stealth Research and Development Laboratory Progress Report. As you know, our efforts over the past year have been focused on developing new cloaking and stealth-based technologies, as well as techniques to support covert field operatives deployed across Appalachia. It goes without saying that cloaking technology is very advanced, and components are limited in supply in this primitive part of the world. We aren't able to secure a stealth armor suit due to the demand of anchorage and other various war efforts. We also have yet to receive the suit's schematics as requested to advance our research. Furthermore, we do not exactly have access to the best and brightest minds of the Republic down here. Our last reinforcements came over 3 months ago, and half of them were killed by the security team because they didn't have the proper credentials. While we have technically failed out yearly targets, it could be suggested that the targets were unrealistic due to the lack of support and technological barriers. Additionally, the constraints of working in a covert capacity dramatically limit the type of testing that can be done, as well as the hours they can be done in order to remain undetected. Regardless, Chief Scientist Howell will accept full responsibility for this failure and any and all repercussions due to his actions. He and he alone is responsible for failing to thrive in the aforementioned circumstances. Myself and the rest of the team are ready to move past this shameful leadership and excel on all future endeavors. Hail to the Republic. And there you have it. Under this simple food processing plant, the Chinese were researching stealth technology, attempting to locate the launch silos as well as how to access their launch keys, as well as those pesky spider monkey liberator drones, which still plague Appalachia even to this day. How far did they get with their research on the silos? Did they ever discover the means to hack the keys? We may yet find out in the future. But what are your thoughts on Mama Dolce's? Did you enjoy the storytelling, or did you completely forget about it after doing that boring food processing chore of an event that Bethesda thinks we enjoy? Leave your comments down below. If you have any suggestions on places you would like researched or lore to uncover, let me know. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.